A raucous atmosphere here in Chapel Hill for a huge late season game, and we are set for basketball. Pete Nance will jump center for the Tar Heels against Jayden Gardner for the Cavaliers. And North Carolina with a basketball first in the hands of R.J. Davis, the junior from Archbishop Stepinac High School in White Plains, New York. The keys here on this end of the floor, Corey, for Carolina, primarily what? How do you defend Armando Bacot when he gets the basketball in his hands? Do you double team, or do you allow him to play one-on-one? There he is, one-on-one, short on the turnaround, being defended by Ben Vanderplas.
Doug, we have to mention the first time these two teams got together this year, Armando Bacot only played a minute and a half in that game.
Here are tonight's starting lineups brought to you by Degree. No surprises for UVA. Perhaps we'll see more of a couple of the reserve bigs, Caden Shedrick, Francisco Caffaro, depending on matchups. Franklin is denied at the rim, and here comes UNC 5-on-4. Leaky Black, no-look pass to Nance from the corner. He was so good on Wednesday early at Notre Dame. They need production from him.
And Leaky Black is so good defensively all season long. Comes up with the block shot and starts the break.
Here's Franklin, gives it back to Gardner, working on Armando Bacot. Now back out front, under 10 to shoot. Kihei Clark feeds the post to Gardner. Clark going to have to put it up. And it is a double dribble before the shot.
And Hubert Davis was right on top of that in Jamie Lucky's ear, calling out the double dribble on Kihei Clark. Both of Virginia's possessions have gone late into the shot clock. Of course, the Hoos are comfortable playing from there, but right now North Carolina putting on the pressure defensively.
North Carolina having lost 5 of its last 7. This team that, of course, made it all the way to the championship game in the NCAA tournament last spring. Here goes Bacot, who was so good in those 6 games, has it knocked out of bounds, and he was the last to touch. It'll be Virginia basketball. There's Tony Bennett in year 14 as the head coach at Virginia.
Great talk with TB pregame, and him talking about wanting to see how his team responds here, of course, in what will be a very hostile environment against a good North Carolina team.
Gardner is so good at the mid-range. He's got UVA's first 2 points of the night.
And he scored a third of Virginia's points on Wednesday night, 16 of the 48. He was the only one who really could get anything going offensively. 50% for Jayden Gardner, but the rest of the team shooting 30% on the game.
Here's Caleb Love. Fans counting down the shot clock as Love banks it home.
It's a little late on Saturday for banking hours to be open. However, here in the Dean Dome, I'm sure that deposit will be accepted.
Quickly at the other end, 3rd and 4th points for Jayden Gardner. Love uses 2 screens, sees a little daylight off the front rim. He was looking for a foul as Beekman closed out. On the switch, give it inside Gardner. Boy, he operates so nicely around the basket.
He really does. And for Virginia to be successful, Jayden Gardner really has to be their guy, especially on the interior, that they can go to. He's their 3rd leading scorer in conference play, but he's picked up his offense as of late.
As you see, all 6 Virginia points so far tonight. Davis going to work on Kihei Clark all the way to the basket.
And that shows you the quickness of R.J. Davis. Not something you see often, people beating Kihei Clark off the bounce. But R.J. Davis is up to the task offensively.
Vanderplas around and out. Davis clears the rebound for UNC. Davis, no. Baycott has it knocked away, tracked down in the corner by Beekman.
And great hands by Reese Beekman, getting in, crashing on Armando Baycott, even though he came up with the basketball, not allowing him to gather the offensive board.
Here's Clark averaging about 11.5 points per game. Second in the ACC at nearly 6 assists per game. He and Beekman usually do such a good job distributing and taking care of the basketball. Beekman thought about it. Now working on Nance. Tough shot. Able to make it in the lane.
One of the areas of concern for Tony Bennett was making sure that his guards were able to get into the painted area and attack once they do. Not going in looking to pass, but look to score.
Nance puts it on the deck. Cut off by Gardner. Now he tries to back his way in. Davis looks down, checks his feet, and buries it. After a couple of slow games offensively, R.J. Davis off to a quick start tonight.
And right now, the pace of this game favors North Carolina. Virginia does not want to play the up-tempo game. However, Jayden Gardner, with 8 points already, doesn't mind the pace.
How does he find himself so open in the mid-range so frequently, Corey?
Because Kihei Clark touched the paint. When he gets into the paint, the defense has to contract, allowing Jayden Gardner to have those easy looks.
Davis feeds the post. Baycott brings it back out to Love. Short on the 3 ball, cleared by Gardner.
But a good look for Caleb Love on that one. And those are the shots you want to see Caleb Love taking off of inside-out action.
Armand Franklin, the former Indiana Hoosier, misfires. And back and forth we go. Into Baycott. Here comes the double team with Vanderplas. How can Carolina make them pay? Good recovery by Gardner to get back out defensively to Nance. Undeterred, Nance able to score on the turnaround.
Dougie Fresh, also have to mention, we talked about Baycott only played a minute and a half in that game. Pete Nance did not play, so Virginia's facing a different team than they saw before.
Clark slow to get back up. He's trailing the play. Davis lost the basketball, and now Virginia's defense able to set up. Caleb Love slices right through it.
Smart play by Caleb Love, recognizing Bennett Vanderplas has zero chance of keeping him out of the painted area, not settling and going to the rim.
Clark, no. Nance, got it! Well, we wondered about the enthusiasm of this North Carolina team. They have shown it early here tonight.
A 7-0 run for the Tar Heels. Saturday afternoon basketball in Chapel Hill is always going to be rocking. And right now, Pete Nance feeling himself, knocking down a huge 3 for the Heels.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's 2 for $6, the best deal in fast food.
We have an entertaining one here, but the Tar Heels on a roll with an 8-point edge. Urgency is a word that applies to both teams coming into this matchup, but it's valid for different reasons. Obviously, for Virginia, they're still on their quest to get a regular season title, and for the Tar Heels, their backs are against the wall. They wanted to improve off that second half performance against Notre Dame. If we were at that shoot-around, these are a couple of words that stood out to me from Coach Hubert Davis. He said sharpness. We have to make sure we focus, and communication. There was a different energy to this team, knowing their backs were against the wall to close, but also because they remember their first meeting with UVA. You mentioned it, Corey. Armando Baycott and Pete Nance weren't available back in January. They're both coming into this game after a double-double. Pete Nance said, I had to find my guy on the inside. How important is it that they establish that connection at this point in the season, Corey?
It's extremely important, Angel, because it opens up the spacing on the floor, and Pete Nance knocking down 3-pointers only helps Armando get going on the offensive end.
Gardner, first time he's missed here tonight. Into the ball game, Jalen Washington, who has had a hard time getting on the floor in recent minutes. Last 3 games has played only 3 minutes. Seth Trimble has also come in for Carolina. He feeds it to Washington. And along those lines, what Angel was saying is Washington turns it over. No surprise, Beekman with the steal, able to get a good look, but couldn't find it. Washington the rebound. Welcome to our Sonic Blockbuster matchup. In Chapel Hill, North Carolina, the Tar Heels and Virginia Cavaliers in a key late season ACC showdown. And after shooting only 33% worst of the year in their win Wednesday at Notre Dame, Corey, North Carolina has come out, shot the lights out. They made only 2 threes against the Irish. They've already got 4 to build this lead.
Well, and one of the things they've been able to do is establish Pete Nance on the perimeter, taking some of the pressure off of Armando Bacot, but they've got contribution from a number of different guys to start this game off. And, of course, Pete Nance did not play in the first matchup between these two teams. And, of course, Armando Bacot only a minute and a half in that game. So this is a different North Carolina team that Virginia is playing against here this evening.
With Corey Alexander, I'm Doug Sherman. We've got Angel Gray with us as well. And a lot is expected of this matchup. This is a big game between two big brands, both, though, playing with desperation here tonight.
Absolutely. This is the Desperation Bowl. Virginia, after their performance at Boston College on Wednesday, Tony Bennett not happy with this team, flat out disappointed in the effort that they had. And, of course, for Hubert Davis, the desperation comes with they need this game in order to boost their opportunities to get into the NCAA tournament as an at-large bid.
Let's show you some of the early game highlights you may have missed. Jayden Gardner made his first 4 shots from the floor.
Jayden Gardner got off to a great start for Virginia, getting the job done in the mid-range, and he's always been an outlet for his teammates once they touch the paint, and that's a key for Virginia in this game. But on the other side, it's been about North Carolina's three-point shooting. Pete Nance lining it up in the corner, knocking it down. R.J. Davis off the nice feed from Leaky Black. And, of course, Nance once again being available, keeping the pressure off of Armando Bacot on the interior, opening up things, and that's going to be important for the Tar Heels here on their home floor.
And here is a look at the Tar Heels' resume. As everyone knows, they have yet to pick up a quad 1 win. This would be it tonight. They are still very much in the mix, but so little margin for error at this point, Corey.
Very little margin for error, if any, meaning that they have to win out. When you consider the fact that they've got Virginia here today, an opportunity to get a quad 1 win. They go to Tallahassee on Monday and then back here for senior night against the rival Duke Blue Devils. This is a must-win for North Carolina. They have to get it in order to find themselves into any chance of being in the field for Joe Lunardi's bracketology.
And once again, welcome to our Sonic Blockbuster matchup here on ESPN. The Virginia Cavaliers ranked 6th in the country against the North Carolina Tar Heels. It is a sea of Carolina blue here in the Smith Center.
And it was rocking in this building to start. The Tar Heel faithful had the swag surf going perfectly. You were a little off. I was on point.
I want to look at the videotape. I don't think I was off.
Check the video. You were a little off, but they had it rocking in here. And again, the best time to play a game in this building is Saturday afternoon, Saturday evening. It is jam-packed, and the fans here, the Tar Heel faithful, recognize the importance of this game.
And seemingly so, too, to the players. And again, it's remarkable that this collection of players that had such a great run last year and has been together largely for the last 3 years needs to be reminded repeatedly, as their coach says, to bring effort and passion. And that is what went down at halftime in their game Wednesday, where they rallied to beat Notre Dame. In that game, Corey, they were 2 for 23 shooting threes. So far tonight, they are 4 of 8. What a difference.
Well, they were 2 for 23 overall, but 0 for 11 in the first half. And their shooting percentage in the first half of their game on Wednesday was the lowest since the 1979 Stall game, where they were 0 for 2 in the first half. That's how bad it is. Angel, you got something on that?
Well, guys, I was covering that game, and you can obviously understand how nervous I was to talk to Coach Davis at halftime. He looked at me, and I said, Coach, at this point, how do you grade their sense of urgency and effort? He said F minus. He said he challenged them to just give more. It didn't come down to defense or making shots. It was just their communication. We're seeing a different team today.
And right after Angel spoke to Coach Davis, he went into the locker room and had what he called a heated discussion. And it wasn't just Hubert. Apparently, assistant coaches Jeff Lebo and Brad Frederick, as well as the director of basketball operations, Eric Hoots, all went in and lit him up.
Well, and there's good reason for that, as we see Isaac McNeely step up and knock down the jumper. But the good reason for that is because when you look at the coaching staff, you look at the bench for North Carolina, each and every one of these men has worn North Carolina across their chest. There's a certain level of pride they take in this program, and they didn't feel as though their players on the floor were exemplifying that manner.
Nance. Tell you what, he seems like a different player lately. 11 points already, coming off an 11-point, 10-rebound, 5-assist game at Notre Dame Wednesday.
Well, Dougie Fresh, this is year 5 for Pete Nance. He came to North Carolina to a team that had played in the national championship game a year prior. He wants the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament and compete for that, and as of late, he's playing like it.
Caden Shedrick was fouled on the lob from Beekman. Well, Pete Nance a year ago at Northwestern shot 45% from the arc, well below that so far this year.
You know, and off of a loose ball, Pete Nance finds himself in the right spot. Leaky Black finding Nance, who's able to line up the three and knock it down. And again, this is an area in the first matchup between these two teams. Virginia won all the hustle plays. Virginia dominated points in the paint. They got to all the 50-50 balls. Thus far in this game, North Carolina's been the aggressor.
Caden Shedrick coming off the bench for a 9th straight game. Actually, the last time he started for Virginia was the game against North Carolina back on January 10th.
And what Tony Bennett found in that game was the lineup with Bennett Vanderplas at the 5, going a little bit smaller at times, and Virginia found something offensively that has worked for them with Shedrick now coming off the bench. But we have to remember, Armando Bacot not in that game. Caden Shedrick is much more needed in this one to defend the bigs of the Tar Heels.
And Bacot went down with an ankle injury about 78 seconds into that game, and so he did not play for the better part of it, and Nance was out with injury as well. So a much bigger North Carolina team facing UVA tonight. Here's Nance. Big height advantage over Gardner, but he couldn't finish. Ball comes to Kihei Clark. Good fight on the floor by Shedrick. And a foul in the backcourt. Or is it a clock issue?
That's a clock violation. Jamie Luckey pointing to the clock. Kihei Clark wondering, why are you stopping play with two Tar Heels down in the backcourt after diving on the floor for the basketball? But it was a clock issue. Jamie Luckey recognizing it.
Jamie Luckey, John Gaffney, Bert Smith, our trio of officials here tonight at the Dean E. Smith Center. Franklin, McNeely, and Clark around the perimeter. Back to Shedrick. And a traveling violation. Armando Bacot with a good defense, forcing the second Virginia turnover of the night.
But at this point, when Kihei Clark gets into the painted area, he has to be more aggressive, looking to get his shot off. Bacot is flat-footed at that point. He's not going to be able to block his shot. Kihei has to be able to recognize the difference between when he needs to try to score and when he needs to try to pass.
DeMarco Dunn on the floor for Carolina. Puff Johnson as well. Nance lobs it inside, intended for Bacot. Armando was the last to touch, though.
A little too soft on that pass. He threw that up for anybody to be able to get to it. Pete Nance has to be a little more decisive in getting that basketball inside to Bacot, throwing it to where only his teammate can get it, but put it on a line, not so much air underneath it.
Clark gives to Gardner. Here's Caleb Love, the 6'4" junior from St. Louis. To Bacot, back out to a wide open Dunn. Bacot back taps it. Carolina keeps possession. Dunn being aggressive, lost his footing. 5th turnover for Carolina. Franklin, tough shot. Johnson keeps it alive, and Puff has the basketball.
Missed opportunity for Virginia off the great defense. Armand Franklin's going to wish he had those back.
They have maintained this lead. Carolina has, Corey, without that man, Armando Bacot, scoring the basketball yet.
Well, you have to also remember that Virginia trailed the entire game on Wednesday, never led against Boston College, and they haven't led in this game yet. It's been all North Carolina from the start.
And we've seen this coming for Virginia. They've been a little sideways. They struggled to beat Louisville, struggled to beat Notre Dame, and then they did finally lose by double figures at Boston College.
7 straight games where Virginia has not scored 70 points. But I can tell you right now, this young man, Jayden Gardner, is not the reason for that. He's gotten off to a great start here. Already double figures for Gardner.
Well, you don't score 2,000-plus points in your career, both ECU and at Virginia, not be able to put points on the board. 10 points to lead the Hoos. Whistle off the ball. And it goes against Virginia and against Isaac McNeely.
Jayden Gardner has 5 of Virginia's 7 made field goals. He continues to operate on the block with precision.
Has had a masterful game.
Clark connects. Push the foul.
This is College Game Day, ladies and gentlemen.
The College Game Day crew will be there tomorrow beginning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. A chance to see a couple of great Big Ten Conference games, teams, Indiana and Iowa, with star power all over the floor, Corey.
I will be checking it out. Of course, my sis, Andrea Carter, L. Duncan, Carolyn Peck, the whole crew on site.
Here we've got under 6.5 minutes remaining in the first half, and Carolina stays hot from the perimeter. That is their 6th made three-pointer of the night.
Doug, you go back 2 weeks ago. You, Angel, and I are here calling a game. North Carolina goes 15 of 33 from 3 against Clemson. Of course, ever since then, they go on a tremendous slide, shooting the basketball terribly from beyond the three-point arc. But you see they're capable of that in this building.
And I'll say what I've said a million times. I don't know how college basketball coaches do it. Puff Johnson, whose mom Amy scored over 1,000 points at Kent State, has given Carolina its largest lead of the night. I ask you, Corey, you've been in the coaching game. How do coaches deal with the ups and downs that are college basketball?
Well, they get paid a lot of money, and they have a lot of sleepless nights as Bennett Vanderplas steps up and knocks down the big 3 in response to make it a single-digit game once again. But Hubert Davis, of course, as a player, recognizes what it's like to have the ebbs and flows of the game. And right now, he is learning it the hard way as a coach.
Bacot was fouled.
Bennett Vanderplas slipping the screen, stepping out, knocking down the 3 necessary for Virginia. But on the other end of the floor, Puff Johnson back-to-back threes as he's feeling confident here in the Dean Dome this evening.
I mentioned his mom, Amy, after her college career at Kent State, a 5'11 guard. She went and played professional basketball as well. And, of course, you know Puff's older brother, Cam, played at Pittsburgh, got his degree from the University of Pittsburgh before transferring and playing a couple of years here in Chapel Hill and putting together a nice NBA career.
And Puff's father also played basketball at Pitt. Talked with Puff pregame, and he said, I'm the only one that didn't go to Pitt, at least for a stint anyway. But his dad is in great shape. Looks like he can still hoop.
Well, his dad was the quintessential Big East power forward of that day. Under 5 minutes to go in the half. Kihei Clark off the screen from Gardner. Front rim. Bacot another rebound. Bacot with a high dribble and called for the offensive foul. Well, coming up next, 8 o'clock Eastern, Duke will host Virginia Tech at Cameron Indoor. And finally, number 15 St. Mary's takes on number 12 Gonzaga for the WCC regular season title. Boy, what a day for ACC basketball here in the Triangle, Corey.
Absolutely has been. You're talking about Clemson at NC State at noon today. Brad Brownell and his squad going into PNC getting a huge win. We've got a big game here right now. And then, of course, to follow it up, Virginia Tech at Duke.
Carolina catches a break on the pass from Davis, and Bacot cashes it in for his first two. Vanderplas after the rebound, and he's called for the over-the-back foul.
We go back to the 50-50 plays. The loose balls going after it with aggression. Armando Bacot, even though it's an errant pass, is able to come up with the loose ball and finish it off.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Sonic Steak and Bacon Grilled Cheese for a limited time only at Sonic.
The Venture X
assist ratio has been a problem for Carolina this year, but certainly not so far tonight, Corey.
Has not been. North Carolina with 8 assists on their 11 made field goals and sharing the basketball extremely well. Amazing. You asked Hubert Davis earlier today, how do you create that spacing without being able to make shots? And he made it simple and plain when he answered you and said,
you can't.
There you go. It's that simple. In the NBA, you can because you have illegal defense. But in college basketball, it does not happen. You have to make shots to be able to create that spacing. And they've done that here this evening.
Making shots covers up an awful lot of ills in the game of basketball. Davis. The shooting continues. 8 points for Davis, including a pair of triples.
Yeah, but sometimes you just have to tip your hat. If you're Tony Bennett, you just have to say, listen, guys, if they make these shots, it's going to be difficult for us to beat them. R.J. Davis just goes into his individual bag, makes a nice move on a great defender in Kihei Clark. And again, plays like this, it's just simply just about talent. R.J. Davis has the ability to get enough separation from Kihei Clark, raise up, knock down his shot from about 22 feet away. And if you can do that, you can beat Virginia. But Virginia normally makes it difficult to do that.
That was the first foul on Puff Johnson, just the third on Carolina here in a cleanly played first half. Armand Franklin with a nice drive and lefty finish.
Nice take by Franklin right there, getting downhill, not settling for the jump shot, putting pressure on Leaky Black to keep him out of the paint.
First 2 points for the senior out of Cathedral High School in Indianapolis. Davis takes the contact and scores.
Now, coming into this game, this would have been the last thing I thought that we would see. R.J. Davis and Kihei Clark going at it on the block. I don't think anyone was expecting to see post play between these two guards, but we got it, and R.J. was the beneficiary of it. Now he's already in double figures with 10 points.
That foul's on Gardner, the help defender, picking up his first. Davis completes the three-point play, give him 11. He's averaging just under 16 points per game now after a couple of down games. Brian Dunn into the game for the first time for UVA. Here's McNeely. He's in trouble. Lobs it back to Dunn. Franklin attacks, turns, shoots. No. Offensive rebound, Virginia. Beekman's had a quiet night so far. Great bounce pass to Franklin on the backdoor cut.
Nice find by Reese Beekman, recognizing, and more importantly, a great cut by Armand Franklin, getting behind the defense and finishing it off. But right now, Virginia's struggling on this end of the floor to stop the Tar Heels, who are operating on all cylinders offensively.
On the back cut, the whistle as the pass was kicked by a Virginia defender. Well, here's our final Big Monday doubleheader before Champ Week. North Carolina, as we've talked about, is on the wrong side of Joe Lunardi's bubble right now. It takes on Florida State at 7 Eastern on Monday, and then number 9 Baylor squares off against Oklahoma State. Both games are right here on ESPN. And the Bears with a big win over Texas today, 81-72.
Speaking of big wins, how about the huge win from Florida State going to Miami and knocking off the top team in the ACC. Leonard Hamilton coaching his guys up and continuing to get better as the season goes along.
Yeah, Seminoles 85, Hurricanes 84. Reese Beekman draws Virginia back to within 15.
Those are the shots that Reese Beekman and Kihei Clark are going to have to be willing to take in this game. But those twos versus the threes are going to be the problem. Right now, North Carolina shooting the basketball the way that they have. 6 for 9 inside the painted area, but 8 of 15 for 24 points outside has been a difference for them in comparison to Virginia.
Is that ratio okay for you, Corey?
The ratio is fine when they're making them, but the problem is when they're not making them, you have to continue to get the basketball inside. But while they're hot, continue to use it as a weapon.
McNeilon, tough runner off the window. 4 points off the bench for the freshman from Poca, West Virginia. Behind the back to split the double team. Dangerous move by Love, but it works out. Bacot, big collision, offensive foul. That's number 2 on number 5 at White.
But here's the problem with that. Armando Bacot pled guilty. When he makes the move and he hits Dunn, forgive me, that's Gardner, he stops. If Armando Bacot just hits Gardner and goes up, it's probably not going to be an offensive foul, even though the contact was the same, because it's a primary defender inside that restricted area. It can be an offensive foul, but he stopped and pretty much pled guilty.
I like that. So he will sit for the final seconds of this first half to protect him with those 2 fouls. McNeilon. Ryan Dunn missed the layup. Davis tracks down yet another rebound for North Carolina, which can hold it for a final shot here in the first half. Timeout, Tar Heels. And we'll take a break with them. Back in 30 seconds to the Dean Dome.
Oh man, that's cool. I'm really liking what you're doing with the overall shape.
She's a little shy right now. She understands she's being painted.
Opening shot. A car comes in to the front.
Oh, Birdie, come on, yes!
Are you goofing?
No! Get that! Yes! I'm good at this.
Coming up on the Jeep halftime report with Reese Davis, Sean Farnham, and Seth Greenberg. Buzzer beaters, bubble teams, unbelievable comeback today by Iowa. They were down double figures with a minute to go, Corey, and beat Michigan State in overtime.
And I believe I saw on the ticker they scored 20 points in 90 seconds. Was it something like that for Iowa to be able to come back and get that win?
They had 5 threes, I think, in the last minute and change. Something crazy. So they'll have all of that coming up from the halftime report that will be out in Spokane as they get ready for the big game out in the West Coast Conference later tonight between St. Mary's and Gonzaga. Final 12 seconds of the first half here between Carolina and Virginia. The Tar Heels have been in command from the start. Nance, stuck, puts it up, and in! What a finish to the first half for Pete Nance and the Tar Heels.
But it's just been that type of evening for the Tar Heels thus far. The broken play ends up with Pete Nance having to force it to get a shot off at the halftime buzzer. But yet, it works. Right now, Pete Nance.
Here's a look at our first half stats brought to you by IHOP, Corey.
And when you look at the numbers, you think about the 58% from the field for North Carolina. Virginia gave up 52% for the game to Boston College on Wednesday. And right now, the struggle for Tony Bennett has been defensively. Jayden Gardner off to a good start, not getting much help.
Ben Vanderplas. That's a good start to the second half for the Cavaliers.
And that's only the second made three-point field goal for Virginia, and Bennett Vanderplas has both of those threes. So right now, Tony Bennett trying to find ways to free him up on the offensive end.
And let's go over to Angel.
Guys, I was able to catch up with Hubert Davis, and I was just asking what the difference was from his team from the last game against Notre Dame, and now he said, honestly, it starts with the unit. It's not just one person. I was trying to highlight Pete Nance, but he said, overall, it doesn't come down to one person. We all have to be aggressive, and that's what's worked offensively. He said defensively, he's pleased with how they've been able to contain Beekman as well as Armaan Franklin. They've held him to 4 points. At times, I've seen Puff Johnson face guarding Armaan Franklin as well, so knowing that energy that he was asking for started on the defensive end in the first half.
And Angel, Tony Bennett told us pregame, without their guards really having successful games, there's not much of a chance for Virginia. He needs those guards to be able to get going. But right now, it looks like they're focusing on Bennett Vanderplas early to start the second half.
After a couple of Vanderplas buckets to begin the second half, the Carolina crowd started to make some noise. And again, this is the same Carolina team that through their first 7 games of the month of February were largely disconnected, other than 2 Saturdays ago when we were here and they laid it to Clemson. They looked great that day.
They did, but not a great start for North Carolina to start this second half, as Virginia's gotten off to a 7-0 run to start the second half. And right now, Hubert Davis going to play it out. No timeout. But the crowd here starting to get anxious. They know that this game was not over to end the first half.
Davis, Nance, Black, Love, and Bacot. Same starting 5 in the second half for Carolina. Same starting 5 for Virginia. There's a missed shot cleaned up by Armando Bacot.
And that's the way you stop a run. Offensive rebounds, second chance points. Armando Bacot in this game on this floor a year ago, 29 points, 22 rebounds against the home state team in his first win ever against Virginia.
And you know what? Mondo is now 15 points shy of passing Michael Jordan on the all-time Carolina scoring list. He is currently number 15. He would move up to 14. Vanderplas, first miss of his since the intermission. Bacot draws the double team. Gets it back, fakes the pass to Davis and goes back to work. Before the double team comes, misses the shot. Gardner dives and saves it for Virginia.
Great hustle for Jayden Gardner to keep that possession alive. Kihei Clark right there to pick it up.
Reese Beekman trying to get downhill. Back out to Clark, looking for his first points. Reese Beekman the assist, and Clark with his first 3.
And Kihei Clark has to look to score. Averages 12 points a game in ACC play. He has to be a scorer for Virginia to be successful.
Nance to the corner for Black. Much like Kihei Clark at the other end, his first 3 points come here in the second.
That is Leaky Black's spot. You find him in the corner, normally he's going to knock it down.
Clark thought about it, gives to Beekman. Drives around Nance, uses the rim to shield the defender.
But you can see to start this second half, both Kihei Clark and Reese Beekman looking a little more aggressive. I'm sure it's something that Tony Bennett talked to his team about at halftime.
To shoot. Davis into the lane, draws the foul, and a chance for 3. ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Sonic Steak and Bacon Grilled Cheese for a limited time only at Sonic. Versus Carolina, a storied rivalry and one of our final Sonic blockbuster games. That is a week from tonight, and it always, according to Jay Billis, delivers.
One difference with this year's Duke North Carolina finale, a must-win game for the Tar Heels. Coming into this building, and of course we talked about in the pregame today, North Carolina has to win out to give themselves a chance at an at-large bid. That would be another opportunity for a quad one win when the Blue Devils come into the Dean Dome.
And R.J. Davis has been bringing it with 14 points to lead all scorers. Armand Franklin draws the contact and will head to the free throw line with a and one.
Once again, that concerted effort by the Hoos to get to the rim. We've seen Kihei Clark attacking. We've seen Reese Beekman. This time it's Armand Franklin with the pump fake, gets Baycott in the air, and then drawing the contact, finishing it off for the and one. And that's going to be the third foul on Armando Baycott. So something that Hubert Davis is going to have to manage for the remainder of 15-16.
Well, the momentum in the first 4 minutes and 45 seconds of this second half has been all Virginia. Clark is all over Davis, who keeps his dribble, gets away. Nance had a big first half for Carolina. He is fouled on the floor before the shot. Well, looking ahead at the Cavaliers' next game, they are at home Tuesday night squaring off against Clemson on ACC Network. That one's a 7 Eastern start, part of ACCN's doubleheader, followed by Virginia Tech versus Louisville at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Big bounce back for Brad Brownell and his squad today, getting a win at NC State when I know that building was rocking.
Man, I'm telling you, the ACC college basketball will make you scratch your head every Saturday.
It absolutely will. And again, 11 quality teams right now in the ACC. As teams continue to get better as the season goes along.
Clark into the lane, picks up the dribble and brings it back out to Vanderplas. Vanderplas flashes and backs down Puff Johnson. Without Armando Baycott in there with the 3 fouls, the Tar Heels are going to have someone else play big inside.
But that's not really been Vanderplas's game, though. If you got somebody you want to play back to the basket with, you want the basketball to be in the hands of Jayden Gardner. And I understand Vanderplas continue to be aggressive, which he has to, but that's not really his game.
Nance created a little space and puts it through. Now 16 points.
But that's knowing who you are. Pete Nance isn't a back to the basket guy either, so he faces up, goes off the dribble, and finds 2 points.
Here goes Vanderplas again, backing down. Beekman for 3. That's one of the parts of R.J. Davis's game we don't talk enough about. He is a very good rebounder. That is his 8th here tonight. And a blocking foul down at the other end.
Yeah, I've been in the building before to see R.J. Davis go into double figures with his rebounding. And more importantly, what he did on the last possession does a great job helping out his big guys who are dealing with trying to box out and coming in and picking up that 8th rebound.
Foul number 3 on Vanderplas, so he will exit, replaced by McNeely. Well, we've talked about the fact that R.J. Davis's father, Robert Davis, was a Division II scoring legend at Mercy College in Dobbs Ferry, New York, still the all-time leading scorer in that program's history, over 2,100. I asked R.J. this morning, who's the better shooter, you or Dad? Without question, he says it's him. And then I said, when was the last time your dad beat you? And R.J. said he hadn't played me since I was 12. I said, that's a smart move.
That's a smart move, but you talk about the better shooter. Who's the better shooter in the building right now? We got a couple of great candidates.
We do, and neither of them are in shorts. The 2 head coaches are probably the 2 best shooters inside the Dean Dome right now. And we've got numbers to back it up as the shot clock goes down. Davis, drive and dish, Puff Johnson. They both came out of college, Davis and Bennett, from Carolina and from Green Bay in 1992. First-round pick for Davis, second-round pick for Bennett, and they were both excellent three-point shooters and still record holders. In fact, Tony Bennett still holds the all-time career record for three-point shooting percentage in college basketball history, while Hubert, by percentage, is the best in Carolina history.
I'm still going back to where you said they're not in shorts. I thought you were talking about myself and Shammond Williams, but I'll let it go.
Well, as Coach Bennett told us before the game, hey, the numbers back it up.
Absolutely do. And again, when you look at these two teams and the shooting struggles they've had over this season, that's a head scratcher. How can you struggle to shoot the basketball when your coaches were so great?
There's the man for Virginia you want in close. Jayden Gardner, built like a football player, now with 14 points.
And as you look now, the lead into single digits. The crowd here at the Dean Dome trying to encourage their team. They do not want Virginia to build momentum here on Carolina's home floor.
Davis attacks and denied by Dunn. Gardner had it taken away.
Uncharacteristic. Virginia turns it over about as few as any team in the country, only 8.9 per game, especially in a run like this when they've got momentum on their side. Very uncharacteristic.
Yeah, they're fourth best in the country in that statistic, Corey. What was once a 17-point lead is down to 9. And a timeout called by Tony Bennett. They're the two best shooters, not Corey Alexander, Tony Bennett, Hubert Davis, the two best shooters in the building tonight.
All subjective, my friend.
The numbers show it.
Numbers don't mean it all.
There are all kinds.
Virginia working their way back in. That's the update for the men, but let me give you a highlight for the women's side tomorrow. It's going to be a clash of two top 10 teams between Iowa and Indiana. Mackenzie Holmes as well as Caitlin Clark can definitely put on a show, so you want to make sure you have your popcorn ready. Going back to Caitlin Clark, she is in range when she steps in the arena, and Mackenzie Holmes has been absolutely amazing, dominating on the inside. And you already highlighted a couple of things as far as what we saw from the men's side with threes going up in the last minute and a half of their game. I can see them carrying it over for tomorrow as well, guys.
No doubt. What a women's basketball doubleheader we have for you tomorrow afternoon on ESPN and the app. As she mentioned, number 10 Notre Dame taking on Louisville at noon Eastern, and then the big one, Caitlin Clark and number 6 Iowa hosting Mackenzie Holmes and number 2 Indiana. Our coverage tomorrow begins with College Game Day at 11 a.m. Eastern. Back to Chapel Hill right after this.
Invention.
In Chapel Hill with Carolina leading by 9, and Cavaliers head coach Tony Bennett told us before the game how important it was, Corey, for his guards to play big if they wanted to get a win here today. What have you seen so far?
Well, we've seen them be more aggressive to start the second half. Kihei Clark knocking down a 3. Reese Beekman and Armand Franklin both attacking the basket, and those guards were a large part of the 10-2 run to start the second half for Virginia. And the main reason as to why they've been able to make this deficit now a single-digit deficit, with Armando Bacot at the free throw line trying to get it back to double figures.
Bacot, one of 2 players in this game with 3 personal fouls. Vanderplas has 3 for Virginia, and he remains on the Wahoo's bench. Bacot has had, for him, a relatively quiet game with 8 points, a little under half his average, along with 5 rebounds. Now give him 9 and 5. His 67 career double-doubles, the most in program history, and tied for 4th most in ACC history with Tom Burleson, who we saw last weekend at NC State. Ryan Dunn, dangerous pass. McNeely, nice job to corral it and land in bounds. Here goes Beekman off the bounce. Nice job by Love to stay with him. Knocked it away. Shot clock down to 5. Dunn's got to go. He gives it up to Beekman. Love, an excellent defensive sequence, and something to say afterward to Mr. Beekman.
Hubert Davis has said for 3 years, Caleb Love can be an elite defender. And Caleb Love just showed all of us that he can be an elite defender. Staying in front of Reese Beekman is not an easy task.
Davis feeds Baycott. The double team gets the ball out of his hands, at least for the moment. He reposts as the ball goes to the other side to Love. 7 seconds to shoot. Love on the other hand. No. Big rebound for Dunn. Big screen by Gardner. Frees the open shot by Clark, but he missed it.
The beginning of this game, the first half, was North Carolina's pace. The second half thus far has been Virginia's pace, and Virginia cutting into the lead. However, missed on a number of opportunities to get even closer in this game in the second half. Have to be able to take advantage of these turnovers when they get them. Haven't done a great job of that here this evening.
Yeah, Beekman with the forced turnover. And they've just not been shooting it as well, Carolina. 9 made three-pointers in the first half, just 1 so far here in the second, Corey. Tar Heels with numbers if they hurry. Davis has it poked away by Clark. Crowd wants a reach-in foul, which doesn't come. Davis quickly into Baycott. Over the left shoulder. There's the big man.
And Armando has something to say. He looks over at Steve Kirshner, his SID, who wants him shooting jump hooks more often, and just lets him know, I've got that in my game.
Yeah, there was quite a detailed discussion this morning about that during shoot-around.
And Kirsch, even though it doesn't look like it, he's excited about seeing Mondo go to the block and go to work. Baycott getting the job done. Back to the basket with the contact. Able to finish with the right-hand jump hook going over the top and making sure that it's recognized by Kirsch.
Second foul on Puff Johnson. Boy, Mondo's been around for 4 years. Still willing to listen to anybody to help get better as a basketball player.
And Steve Kirshner is on record of saying he is one of my top 5 players I've ever had in this program.
And Kirsch has been here for decades. I believe it.
Now, outside of course, Freddie Kiger and John Matter, our 2 guys that help us out with our stats, I believe that Steve Kirshner may be at the top of the list when it comes to the Carolina history. And, of course, Freddie right beside Kirsch.
Yep.
These 2 guys alongside John right over here beside us have all the Carolina knowledge.
They are pillars. Anytime we come to the triangle, we're happy to see them and work with them. Under 8.5 minutes to go. Nance gets double, brings it out to Love with a clean look. Clark, Franklin, McNeely, Gardner, and Dunn, the 5 on the floor for Virginia. Whistle off the ball, and if it's on Baycott, that's number 4.
And I do believe that is going to be on Baycott, and just like that, Leaky Black will be back into the game. A quick break for Leaky Black as Armando Baycott exits with the 4 fouls. But this is a lineup that Hubert Davis is comfortable with, especially when Pete Nance has played the way he has throughout this game.
And it's well chronicled how Leaky Black can defend anybody on the floor with his size and length and instincts. Very versatile weapon on this end. Clark is fouled by Davis and will shoot 2 free throws when we come back to a rockin' Dean Dome in Chapel Hill. And then, 2 weeks from tomorrow, Corey, is Selection Sunday, and there's so much yet to be decided.
It absolutely is. And when you think about the North Carolina Tar Heels, they have a important 2 weeks coming up as Kihei Clark goes to the free throw line and breaks what has been a 4-minute and 23-second scoring drought for Virginia. But Clemson with a big win today, getting right to the top of Joey Brackett's next 4 out. An important game for the Clemson Tigers heading to Charlottesville on Tuesday to face the Virginia Cavaliers, who are in a battle here in Chapel Hill.
And the biggest result so far on Saturday in the ACC was Matthew Cleveland's buzzer beater to lift Florida State from a 25-point deficit to beat Miami. Off the Nance miss, McNeely the rebound. Franklin, Beekman, Vanderplas, Gardner, and McNeely out there for UVA. No flop call, no foul call. Play continues, and yet UNC does not give up a bucket.
Missed opportunity right there by Jayden Gardner. Just concentration went away a little bit, expecting for a whistle to be blown. Misses a point-blank layup.
Another deflection by Beekman out of bounds. Carolina will keep.
And Virginia now, who started the second half making 6 of its first 7 field goals, since then just 1 of their last 12 opportunities.
Davis on the rescreen from Nance. Gives it back to Nance. Beautiful two-man game, but it nets no points for Carolina. Beekman gives back to Gardner on the screen and roll. Denied by Nance.
But with Gardner having Johnson on his back, that's when I would love to have seen Jayden Gardner just be aggressive.
Johnson and Gardner both go down hard. No call. The whistle comes against Franklin as the ball was pushed into the front court.
But a hard foul, I'm sorry, not a hard fall for both players. I don't see any advantage either way. Both guys going after the basketball. In all honesty, Gardner creates the contact, but that's not a foul. He has the right to go after the basketball in the air. Both guys falling hard. I love the fact that there was no whistle blown on that call. Puff Johnson wants the call. Of course, Jayden Gardner wants the call, but I like Bert Smith's reaction of not blowing the whistle.
Gardner takes a seat.
Leaky over here sitting on our table. Trying to get a quick, they're trying to get a quick breather.
Huh.
You know, he spends a lot of energy on defense. I'll give him that.
The well-rested Leaky Black sets a screen for Love. Inside Nance for the hammer. The grad transfer from Akron now has 18 points.
And Nance, who's missed a couple of chippies around the basket, left no doubt on that possession.
Dunn gives it back to Beekman. Nance says no way. Vanderplas, another missed layup by Virginia, but the foul goes against the Tar Heels.
Caleb Love coming off the screen, threads the needle between 2 Virginia defenders, and Pete Nance out here stunting like his daddy, finishing with 2 hands. You know his dad was a slam dunk champ, right?
I do. I'm older than you. I remember that stuff.
You know, I got to check you. You got a lot of Big East knowledge. I'm not sure about all your ACC knowledge.
I remember. Tell you what, Virginia has missed a ton of layups here today, just like they did on Wednesday in the loss to Boston College. And now Vanderplas misses at the free throw line.
And an opportunity to get chips if he misses this second.
That would be Pringles potato chips. Pringles for everybody, but Vanderplas grabs the miss. Vanderplas, shovel pass, Dunn tries to dunk it, and again, Nance protecting that rim. He lets out a couple of streams to the stands. He has put forth a marvelous effort tonight.
And the stands are reciprocating. This crowd on their feet applauding Pete Nance, not only for his effort offensively, but what he's doing defensively as well.
Love lost it. Beekman again in the middle of it, and he's fouled from behind by Davis. Foul number 3 on Davis.
Pete Nance started off this game getting the job done offensively, but now it's been about his defense, blocking shots on the last 2 possessions offensively for Virginia, covering up the rim, not allowing any easy buckets.
7th team foul on the Tar Heels, so a 1-and-1 coming for Beekman, who is the best foul shooter on this Virginia team at 81%. And so the third year from Milwaukee to the line.
Virginia 4 for 8 from the free throw line in a game where you are trying to mount a comeback. They dug a hole for themselves early. Cannot afford to give away points.
They trailed by as many as 17 points late in that first half. They were down by 16 at the intermission. That's foul number 3 on Gardner. Let's go to Angel Gray.
Guys, we're seeing a team that's just playing loose. I was talking to Hubert Davis as far as his team, and he just mentioned, he told me a story. He said he gave them a weighted vest for practice, and after a few minutes, a few of the guys asked him, all right, coach, what's the purpose of this? Why are we doing this? He said, because this is the unnecessary weight that you've taken onto the floor. He said, handling being preseason number 1, being compared to last year's team, social media, news articles saying, what are we doing at this point? We're on the bubble. He said, if we play together, take that weighted vest off and understand we do this together and play at ease, and we're seeing that tonight.
Well, Angel, I can tell you that weighted vest has a different meaning here in this building. The weighted vest used to be what Coach Dean Smith would hand his players and tell them to run the stairs. So it has built some character in this program as Reese Beekman gets to the bucket and is able to stop the run for North Carolina, the finish, the hoop, the harm, and the opportunity for the and one. But that weighted vest may mean different things to different players.
Corey, either way, I don't think they wanted the vest on. But I think they did get the message. And just overall, you're seeing just more of a vocal and communication from the leadership on Carolina's team at this point. And he challenged them to be better. He was not pleased with how they were able to walk away with the win at Notre Dame, but just wanting a little bit more out of his team. You already mentioned losing 5 of their last 7. How do they respond? That was the biggest question coming into this one.
Absolutely. And they responded, sharing the basketball, continuing to move it. As you mentioned, Angel, the chemistry has been there for the Heels tonight, but you have to give their home crowd a lot of credit for helping out.
And that was not a blocked shot by Nance, but he changed that shot attempt. And after being so good at Notre Dame Wednesday with 11 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, Pete Nance even better here tonight right from the start. He's got 20 points and counting. And he will head back to the free throw line off a nice job on the screen and roll. Well, you mentioned his dad, the slam dunk champ, but he's not the only one, because his older brother, after starring at Wyoming, who was a first-round pick in 2015, he's put together a very nice NBA career.
He absolutely has, and you want to talk about athleticism. It is in the genes. Pete Nance showing off his athleticism, blocking shots, finishing at the rim throughout this game. But his brother and his father, 2 of the better athletes to ever play this game. Angel, you know a little about that.
Just a tad, because I'm honored to build a relationship with their family during my time in Cleveland, and just getting to know Larry Nance Sr. He always just challenges guys to just be competitive the entire time. I know Larry Nance Jr. right now with the Pelicans. We saw him throw down a lot of different dunks, but I was able to catch up with him about saying, whose time is it now? He said, my brother, after tying the game for one of the buzzer beaters, it's his time. Step up, and we're seeing him step up tonight.
Well, his 22 points for Pete Nance, the second most he's had this year. He went for 28 against Portland at the PK 85. He's got the basketball now. To the corner for Johnson. Love for 3. Rebound to Franklin. Clark with a long 2-point jumper. It's good.
That's Kihei Clark's game right there, picking up with the pressure and turning defense into possible offense, but Pete Nance having no parts of it.
Another block shot by Nance, but they are counting the basket as play continued, and a chance for a three-point play for Virginia. Do the Wahoos have another push in them in the final 3 minutes? ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Wendy's 2 for $6, the best deal in fast food.
I was having challenges with my old bank.
Here tonight, and these highlights are brought to you by the number 4, Dougie Fresh. Pete Nance, 4 for 4 from beyond the three-point line. He's 4 for 4 from the free throw line, and he has 4 blocks all here in the second half to anchor the defense for the Tar Heels.
You grew up watching Sesame Street, didn't you?
Oh, did I? By the way, Virginia had missed 4 free throws in a row, now 5 straight free throws here in this second half while trying to get back into this game.
Impossible to come back from 17 down if you can't make a free throw. 2:40 left in regulation. Nice job by Clark to keep Davis out of the lane. Now Love's got to go to work. Great job by Beekman to stick to him.
But this is part of the reason why Caleb Love's his shooting percentage is so low. He gets the grenade.
Right.
And he gets the basketball all the time at the end of the shot clock. None of his teammates want to shoot it, so they throw it to him. As Jayden Gardner is able to step up and knock down another mid-range. And Caleb Love doesn't always help himself, but he has to take 2 or 3 of those shots per game.
16 points for Jayden Gardner. I was waiting for you to point out that Nance handed the ball off to number 4.
I was going to point out that Armando Bacot has not come back into this game. Pete Nance has played so well that Hubert Davis has allowed Bacot to sit as Franklin gets out with the finish by number 4. And just like that, it's an 8-point game.
Franklin's got 9. And a foul against Virginia before the inbound as Davis tried to get free. Foul number 2 on Kihei Clark.
And great hands by Armaan Franklin getting out on the break and finishing it off. And now that is a single-digit game. Hubert Davis decides it's time to get Armando Bacot back in the game. 1:27 remaining as North Carolina tries to finish this one up. But Virginia's been able to find a little momentum here as of late.
11.6 rebounds so far for Bacot as he takes his place along the lane with Davis at the line. Coming up next, 8 o'clock Eastern Time, Duke will host Virginia Tech at Cameron Indoor. And finally, capping things off on a wild Saturday of college hoops, number 15 St. Mary's takes on number 12 Gonzaga for the WCC regular season title. All coming up later tonight here on ESPN.
A great day in college basketball on ESPN. A bunch of great games and meaningful games to a lot of different teams.
Leaky Black with the block.
The ACC's Defensive Player of the Year coming up with a huge block. A number of candidates on the floor, 2 from Virginia and Beekman and Kihei Clark, but Leaky Black has been the guy that has shined the brightest.
And then Black gets fouled and will shoot 2.
Great play by Kihei Clark, faking the handoff. However, Leaky Black erasing it at the rim. And after the performances he's had throughout this season, we mentioned Hunter Tyson coming into this building only getting 2 field goal attempts against Leaky Black. Isaiah Wong only 8 points against Leaky Black. He has continued to be a stellar defender all season long, and in my opinion, has earned the ACC's Defensive Player of the Year award for this season.
And I asked Steve Kirshner, the SID for North Carolina this morning, about, is Leaky really 6'9"? You weren't so sure a couple of weeks ago.
And I'm still not sure.
He says he's 6'8" in his stocking feet, 6'8.5" in his shoes. And according to Dean Smith, I've never seen anyone play in their stocking feet, and we round up at 6'8.5".
Now let me tell you what I haven't seen. Anyone playing basketball shoes that only give you a half an inch. It doesn't work like that.
So what are you saying?
I'm saying he's 6'7". But regardless as to how tall Leaky is, I may give him 6'7.5". He has been awesome defensively this entire season for North Carolina. And throughout all their ups and downs, he has been the constant on the defensive end for Hubert Davis.
Third foul on Kihei Clark will send Caleb Love to the foul line. Well, earlier this year, Carolina had what at the time was a quad 1 victory over Ohio State. But with the Buckeyes falling back, they are back to 0 in these top wins. But that is 47 seconds away from changing and making that resume, Corey, look a little bit better. Joe Lunardi said coming into the game, beating Virginia today doesn't put them into the current field of 68, but obviously it keeps them alive. Gardner with a chance for 3.
Yeah, nice play right there by Jayden Gardner, attacking the offensive glass, coming up with the putback and scoring it. And once again, trying to get this into single digits at the free throw line, where Virginia has struggled throughout this game. But 38.8 seconds remaining. If he makes his free throw, it's a 3-possession game, and we have seen crazier things happen even today.
Iowa came from 11 down with about a minute to go to beat Michigan State in overtime. Does Tony Bennett's team have that same kind of comeback in them?
There are all kinds of products in this world. Things that make life easier or more fun. But New York Life's product is different. It's 12,000 experts whose responsibility is to be there, to guide you through the happiest and most difficult times. People who know the most valuable things in life aren't things at all. This is our product. This is what we do.
Coming up next, just a few miles from here, we'll take you to Cameron Indoor Stadium to see if the Blue Devils can hold off a Virginia Tech team that is dangerous every time they take the floor.
Absolutely. When you think about this game, Virginia Tech, of course, has had success as of late, but they've struggled on the road. The Duke Blue Devils continue to get better as this season has gone along, and right now you're talking about a 10-15-minute drive over to Cameron Indoor. There have been people in the area who are trying to make a complete triangle between NC State this afternoon, Chapel Hill at 6, and now make it over to the Virginia Tech Duke game tonight at 8 o'clock.
Very doable. A noon game, a 6 o'clock game, and an 8 o'clock game. The smart move would to have been to leave the Dean Dome already to beat this traffic to get yourself over to Cameron to catch most of that game. Our guys John Madry and Freddie Kiger on the back end of their doubleheader, but they're not heading over to Cameron smartly.
And you never want to leave this game too early.
I don't know.
No.
If you're going for a triple header.
No. You don't want to leave this game too early.
All right. Well, I don't want to leave this game too early. I've got responsibilities. Coach Williams, he's not leaving.
Ron is not letting him leave.
No.
He doesn't have a choice. He has to stick around.
Happy wife, happy life. The clock started running early before Kihei Clark touched it. And so they will get that rectified, and we will do it again.
Tony Bennett not happy with the clock management. But, of course, flashing the smile, as always.
Franklin. Yes. Shot clock is off. It's an 8-point ball game.
This is why you never want to leave this game too early. Virginia's going to play it out to the end.
Foul on the inbound as Puff Johnson hits the deck.
And that's the perfect foul. Very little time running off the clock right there. Forced North Carolina to go to the free throw line and make these free throws. down the stretch. Armaan Franklin knocking down the 3 ball, may have a number of those left in his clip.
He picks up just his 2nd foul, and so Puff Johnson, a 72% foul shooter on the year, out of the same high school as John Calipari, Moon Area High School in Moon Township, Pennsylvania, just outside of Pittsburgh. Two big misses for UNC. Clark to Franklin. He gathers, shoots, and it rattles home. It's a 6-point game. Leaky Black able to get it into Caleb Love, and the foul committed by Kihei Clark. And that is his 4th foul.
The pressure is on North Carolina to finish this game at the free throw line. Virginia is showing that they can make plays in a hurry to be able to cut into this lead. Nice catch by Armaan Franklin and scoring off the glass to make it a 2-possession game.
Love is a 76% foul shooter. He's got 9 points so far tonight. Clark challenges Nance. Well, it may not have been a block shot, but there's Mr. Nance in the middle of it. The star of the ball game for Carolina, the grad transfer from Northwestern University, and Carolina keeps its NCAA tournament hopes alive.
And a fitting way to end the game for North Carolina. Pete Nance stepped up for the Heels offensively in the first half, and he stepped up for the Heels defensively here in the second half. As you mentioned, he was absolutely the star of this game. The guy